Welcome, listeners, to Inner Peace, Better Health. I'm your host, Sana, and today I have an incredible conversation lined up for you. We are talking about forgiveness. And to help me with this, we have an incredible guest with us, Katharine Giovanni. Now, listeners, let me share a bit about Katharine with all of you. She's a three-time award-winning best-selling author, speaker, and one of the original founders of the independent concierge industry. Now, fun fact, I mean, it's really, very, inspiring. She has written over 12 books, including her latest, The Ultimate Path to Forgiveness, Unlocking Your Power. And listeners, Catherine's journey of resilience and transformation is truly, truly inspiring for all of us. So let's quickly dive into the powerful topic of forgiveness. So, Catherine, welcome to the show, and it's definitely an honor having you with us today.
Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Um, Catherine, before we even talk about forgiveness, would you like to share a bit about your journey? What inspired you to write, share your thoughts, your wisdom about forgiveness, uh, how to unlock our power with all of the world?
Well, forgiveness helped me so much in my life. I legitimately wanted to share what I have discovered. Um, in order to find forgiveness, you have to find its opposite. So it's there. Let's just say politely, there is an incredible deluge of water under my bridge. So, you have to get through the anger and you have to learn not to hate. And I learned very quickly that the more I forgave, the better I felt. But
Mm.
the and I come from a dysfunctional family, both alcoholic parents. I tried to commit suicide in the 8th grade, and I'm sober myself. I have been sober for over 35 years. So there's a lot of stuff back there.
Yeah.
But the thing about forgiveness is everybody on the planet tells us we have to forgive. Everybody. It's
Yeah.
in books. It's everywhere.
Mhm.
Nobody teaches you how.
How to- yeah.
And what if you don't want to? What if it's unforgivable? Then what do you do? So I've developed a system. It's about 7 steps, give or take. That's a step by step way to how to actually forgive people and have them stay forgiven. Because people have a nasty habit of coming back into your life and you get angry again, don't you? I mean, it comes right back in your head. So if you utilize the system I'm about to give you, these people will stay forgiven and you can go on with your life.
That is, I think this is such a practical approach, a pragmatic way of looking at forgiveness, because of course, you have raised a valid question. Everybody tells us what to do, but how to do it. So I think,
How?
like, yeah, that's a powerful story and insight, Catherine. And if we think about it, um, how exactly do you define forgiveness, Catherine, and why do you think it is so important for our well-being?
Well, here's the thing.
Mhm.
Here's a few things. Just because I forgive you doesn't mean I want a relationship with you. Forgiveness does not necessarily mean repair. On it. So on a 10 scale, with 10 being unforgivable dumpster fire and 1 being the easiest person in the world to forgive, I want everybody to start with the number 1s. So just because I forgive you, and here's what trips absolutely everybody up. Just because I forgive you doesn't mean all of a sudden you're correct. I'm not giving in. I'm not saying, okay, I guess you were right all along. Everybody thinks that. I think it
Mhm.
stems from our childhood way back when we were little kidlets, and the teacher would say, now forgive each other and go off and play. I
Mhm.
think that's where it stems from because it's the only thing that makes sense, but it's wrong. So just I'm forgiving you for me. Forgiveness is selfish. It has no effect on you. You're still going to probably have to make amends. You're still wrong. What it means to me, the formal definition of forgiveness for me means I want you out of my head. That's it. That's what I want. I want you out of my head. I want to stop thinking about you. I want to stop dreaming about you. And if I go into a bakery and I smell something, I don't want to be reminded of the incident. I want you out of my head. But that leads me to another thing that people love to say. Well, you can forgive and forget. Hmm. I'm
Mhm.
originally from New York City. I live in the south of the United States now, but I'm from New York. We're not forgetting anything. I don't know anybody who can forget. But what I can promise you is when you go through my system, you're going to be able to remove the emotional charge to that person. So when you see their name or you run into them at a party, you won't care. You won't care good, you won't care bad. You literally, legitimately won't care. You will have reached neutrality, and that's what I'm looking at for. I'm looking for the I don't care. That's when you know you've forgiven because you don't.
Exactly. I mean, nothing related to you, not even an iota of your memory or any action, it does not even trigger anything within me remotely. So,
No, and I could look back at my dysfunctional childhood, and I've written a lot of books, and I've talked about my dysfunctional, and I've told some funny stories from back there.
yep.
But the fact that I was still telling the stories meant that I hadn't really gotten over it. So now that I have forgiven the people in my past, I actually can look back to my childhood and I can see the love that was there. I could see the adults that were trying to help that young kid. I can see differently now. So have I changed my past? To an extent, yeah, I have, because I legitimately don't remember all of that stuff anymore, and I don't live with it anymore. I live with love and gratitude as opposed to hate at this point.
Mm, mm. Very enlightening, and I think it definitely clears up the misconceptions hovering around forgiveness, because uh, as per the external template or whatever has been, taught to us, it definitely looks like forgiving is just a sign of weakness. It's a kind of an allowance that, okay, you have hurt me once, have given you the permission to hurt me once again because I'm forgiving you every time for your actions.
It's actually the opposite. Forgiveness is the biggest source of strength.
Yeah.
Forgiving something, especially if I'm going to have you sit down and write a list of all the people, places, and things. I did say places and things. Don't hang with me. Um, that you think you need to forgive. And then I'm going to have you rate them from 1 to 10, with 10 being unforgivable. And everybody listening to this now is thinking of their number 10 person. That's why nobody wants to forgive. You're all thinking about the person that hurt you the most. That's
Mm,
fair.
mm,
Everybody does it. But I want you to do that person last. I want you to go through your list, and I want you to rate these people from 1 to 10, and if
mm,
you have 20 number 5s, I don't care. And if you skip a number, I also don't care. You can do it any way you want, but the whole point is I want you to start with the ones and work your way up to the horrible 10s, the unforgivables. And the thing that people don't know, the special sauce to the entire method is energy. Einstein creatively proved that energy is neither created nor destroyed. It just transforms from one thing into another. So when you get mad, you think that the energy coming out of your body just dissipates into the clouds. If you think of it at all, nobody even thinks that far. It does not. It hangs around your energy field and is going to stay there until you clear it. And everything on our planet has energy, including this little silver microphone in front of me, has an
mm.
energy field around it,
Yes.
and it can be cleared. So if you're driving down the road and you see your childhood school and you were bullied there, that was
Mhm.
mine. um, you can clear, you can forgive the building and the energy around the building. So the next time you drive down that road, that won't bother you anymore.
Yep.
My mantra is very simple. You don't have to hold crystals unless you like to. You don't have to burn incense unless you really love it. It's a very simple little poem. I completely forgive Catherine. I completely forgive the energy around, well, let's use another name. I completely forgive Martha. I forgive the energy around Martha. I forgive myself. I forgive the energy around myself. I forgive the energy around the entire thing. And there's worksheets and more methods and stuff in the book. But
Mm.
That's basically what it is. And you're not going to get a number 10 person down to a 1 overnight. It's not going to happen. Many people call this shadow work because you're working with the shadows of the past.
Yeah.
But a number 10 unforgivable person,
Mm.
that's hard. You might get it down to a 9, then you're going to get it down to an 8, and I want you to make a pass at it before bed. Do it before you go to sleep and do it every night, because the energy is going to make you tired once you forgive people. But this is a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's going to take a minute. But that's why I want you to start with the easy ones. The person that cut you off on the road yesterday, the person who stole your sandwich, the person who kicked you in school. Maybe your football team lost last week. Forgive the football team. And if you're listening to this saying, well, I don't have anybody to forgive, I'm good. Okay, sure you are. I want you to say, I completely forgive myself for not being able to forgive and the energy around this thought every day for the next week. And what's going to happen is your mind is a brilliant tool. And it's going to say, ooh, okay, Catherine's opened up that back closet of her mind where, she didn't even know it was there. And it's going to flood your brain with memories. And then you write another list and you keep on going. It's a real easy method, and it's an easy method for everybody. And if you can never get to the unforgivables, that's fine. It's fine. You don't have to. I'm the only one in the world that's going to say you don't have to forgive the unforgivable, because there's so many other people, places, and things you can forgive before you even get there. If you're not ready to forgive that bully that's a number 10, or your mother or your father, family really mess you up, right?
Yep.
Um, let's use my father. I wasn't able to forgive my father for many years. I couldn't even forgive the energy around my father. So I would pick apart memories and I'd forgive the stuff in the memories. He used to keep us at the dining room table and lecture us for hours. Okay, I was a kid. It probably wasn't hours, but sure it felt like that. So I forgave the table we sat at. I forgave my childhood home and the energy around these things. I forgave the chair that I sat in. I'm actually not kidding. I forgave all of that.
Mhm.
So I'm chipping away at that number 10 unforgivable. Still haven't forgiven dad, but I've forgiven other things, which is freeing my mind up. And as you forgive, your world is going to open up. You're going to feel better. You're going to feel healthier. You're going to see new ways to make money, new ways to get healthy. Meditation is going to be better. Your intuition is going to start to blossom. Why? Because anger acts like an iron shield. And the reason you don't think you're intuitive, and here's a little note, everybody's intuitive on the planet, 10 out of 10 of us. But the only reason some of us are more intuitive than others is because our anger is acting like a shield. You can't hear it. Too focused on the anger.
Mm. That's something new. I think that's something, a very unique insight for me as well. Also, Catherine, in your book, you explain, you mention a step by step process for forgiving the unforgivable, as you mentioned. So, uh, if you can share how can someone start this process if they are feeling stuck?
Okay. Well, I want you to write your list, and I want you to rate everybody from 1 to 10, 10 being awful, 1 being super easy. So
Mhm.
it's probably somebody you went to school with, somebody super easy, or maybe you were at the grocery store yesterday and somebody cut you off in the parking lot. Forgive that person. Super easy. And I want you to sit in your bed. Now, this is not like recovery programs. You don't have to reach out and talk to anybody. You don't have to call anybody. You don't have to make amends.
Just like a
You
self.
do this in the privacy of your own home, all by yourself.
Mm.
And that being said, you can forgive dead people, because it doesn't matter where they are or are not. You're forgiving for you. If they're alive and well in your head, you can forgive it. So I want you to write down everybody, alive and dead. It doesn't matter. This is one way to get closure. And then I want you to pick the super, super easy one. And I want you to imagine that they're standing in front of you. And I want you to be alone. Turn your technology off. There is an off button, people. There is. I promise you, it's there. And if you're starting to visibly twitch at the idea of turning your cell phone off, that's fine. Mute it. And I really don't want it to vibrate, because if it dances on your desk, then you're gonna look at it. I just want you alone for about 10, 15 minutes. No dogs, no kids, nothing. And I want you to imagine the person who's standing in front of you, but I want you to imagine them as you knew them when you had this when you were fighting or whenever it was. So if you're forgiving a childhood friend, think of them as you knew them as they looked as a child. And then, because you're alone in the room, say anything you want to them. Anything you want. Yell, cry, I don't care. Do what you need to do. And if you can't imagine the person in your mind's eye, put an empty chair in front of you and talk to the chair. That's totally fine. You can put their name on the chair, you can put their picture on the chair if you're having trouble can't say that word. Visualizing. There we go. And then I want you to put your hand on your heart, and really, the words are just for us stupid humans. It's the energy behind the words where the magic happens. And I want you to say that mantra. And after you say the mantra, I want you to check in with your body. You still angry? Or is the one now a zero? Is it gone? Great. How do you feel? Do your shoulders feel lighter? Most people feel tired, but some people feel energy move in their solar plexus. Um, Everybody kind of feels something. And this happened to a really good friend of mine. It was a level 3 person. She figured this was going to be an easy one. And she made that first pass and she checked in, and she was more angry than when she started. It bumped up to a 7. Why? Well, because forgiveness is like an onion, and she cleared the first layer, and her brain opened up a back closet of her brain and flooded her with memories that she had forgotten. And now she was even more angry. So you go to your piece of paper and you scratch out 3 and you replace it with 7. You wait 24 hours and you try it again. This happens. And be kind to yourself. This is a process. And I really don't want you to do more than 10 people at a time. And if you're doing the higher level numbers, like people you rate an 8, 9, 10, don't do more than 1 or 2 a night, because the energy is serious. When there's a classic case of do as I say, not as I do.
Mhm.
And when I did this exercise first, and I do all my own exercises, I'm my own guinea pig, I must have written down 50 people. I thought this is gonna be great. I'm gonna be like a phoenix rising from the sun. I'm gonna be a new person, a butterfly emerging. Tomorrow morning, it's gonna be great. I did forgive many people on the list, but I spent the next 3 days in bed with what everybody thought was a stomach flu. It was not the stomach flu. It was my body trying to get rid of decades of anger. And that's why I want you to only do 10 at a time, and I want you to do it before bed, because your body heals itself when it sleeps. And forgiveness makes you tired because you're releasing all of this energy. You're going to be tired. So do only 10 at a time. And I do this every night before bed. I will think of the 3 things I'm most grateful for, even if it's only I've got a hot cup of coffee. And then I'll do my forgiveness work. And I usually do more, but I've been doing this a long time. But I do it every night before you go to bed. And it's like an onion. Be kind to yourself. And when you get to the unforgivables, chip away at the memories. Instead of writing, a list of 10 people, when you get to that unforgivable person, I want you to write a list of memories that really bother you, or a list of people within the memory that really bothers you around this unforgivable event or this unforgivable person. And I want you to forgive them before you forgive that unforgivable person. Let's take my father as an example. Christmas time, I forgave everything in that memory besides my dad. I didn't even have the energy I didn't even want to forgive the energy around him. I was still so angry. But I could forgive the table. I could forgive the dog. I could forgive the chair I was sitting in. And I did these things, then I'd pick another memory, and I did this for a number of weeks until I was finally ready to make a pass at my father. Did I mean it the first pass? No, I was still mad, but I made a pass anyways, and I said the mantra and I gave it a go. Took me a long time I did finally forgive my father absolutely completely, but it took a while and I had to chip away at it. Hey, I forgave 1974. Why did I forgive 1974? I forgave the players within that year, but that's the year I tried to commit suicide. And it was still bothering me, so I actually forgave 1974. You can forgive anything. You can forgive anything on the news if it pisses you off. You can forgive politicians, dare I say. You can forgive the war in the Middle East. What's it gonna do for the war in the Middle East? Absolutely nothing, but it's gonna do wonders for you. It's gonna release that anger from your mind.
Mm. I think it's very, very, uh, I think the the strongest part of this whole process is that you are kind of your own therapist. You are in your
Yep.
own practice. And of course, sometimes during this process, I feel, when you were narrating the entire process, I kind of put myself into that place. I had two people in my mind. The first one was a person 10 years back who kind of ruined my life during my teens. And the other person was myself, who took a very bad decision, life decision, which of course affected the next 2 3 years of my life. So I think it can be your own past self. It can be.
You're Steve, forgiving yourself, often you are your own number 10.
It's.
Many, 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 many people will write their list, and their number 10 person is themselves.
Yes.
And this is the first book of 3, and the book I'm writing now, the second book in the series, is How to Forgive Yourself. I'm dedicating an entire book to that. Might add a chapter on how to forgive money, because money is simply energy, and I can't help myself. I may have to put that in there, but yeah, forgiving yourself is huge. But
It
be
is.
kind to yourself. The person you were then is not who you are today, and you did those things with the information you had at the time. Hindsight's 2020. Would you have made that decision today? Absolutely not. But you didn't know any better. You did the best you could. You were in survival mode. You did the best that you could.
Exactly. Exactly. That is really great, Catherine. Uh, and before we wrap up, before we conclude this conversation, any advice you would like to give to someone who is struggling to forgive themselves? Of course, you are going to give us the gift of your book as well, but just a quick takeaway.
You are worthy enough to live a life of joy and happiness. It's your birthright. You are not meant to live in a box in the street. You're not meant to live in hatred and anger. You're meant to live in joy. You're meant to live in happiness. You're meant to have that dream life you've always dreamed of. You are worthy enough to do this. And whatever it is you need to forgive yourself for, I have no doubt in my mind that you can forgive yourself, because the person you were then is not who you are today. And even if it was with that person yesterday, you woke up this morning, you're a brand new person. So you're worthy enough to live your life happily. You're worthy enough to live in joy. I can't repeat myself more.
Mm. Lovely. That is lovely. Great. Thank you so much, Catherine. And of course, if our listeners would wish to check out your books and also get an access to your upcoming book and connect with you to share anything they would like to about forgiveness, how they can do that.
They can go to my website at katharinegiovanni.com. And Catherine, thanks to my mother, is spelled a little odd. Thanks, Mom. And it's Katharine Giovanni.com. You can also go to Amazon. The book is on Amazon. I do have the audiobook available for anybody who doesn't like to read, the ebook and the paperback.
Lovely. We'll have the details in the show notes. And Catherine, thank you. Thank you so much for this incredible, profound conversation on forgiveness. I personally, I felt that energy, that it resonated a lot with me, and I'm very sure it will definitely with our listeners. So, to all of our listeners, I hope you found this conversation as inspiring and profound as I did. So, Catherine, once again, thank you so much for giving us this opportunity.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Listeners, to reiterate, forgiveness is definitely a very, very powerful tool for personal growth and healing. So stay curious, keep exploring, and take the first step towards inner peace and better health. Thank you.